Trees do it. Even educated fleas do it. Let's do it. Let's talk about the moon. I'm so excited. It's Moon Day again. And I better move this away, but look at this cute little guy. Ready for the season. It's been a good one so far. Let's talk about the weather while we just settle down and start this convo. Uh, First, I don't know if it's the first, maybe the second cold front since I moved or we moved to the mountains. And so it was very cold today, very cold and windy. In the morning, when I asked, the device that shall not be named or else she speaks, what the temperature was, she said, "Oh, it's 62 degrees and the high today is 63." And I was like, "Oh, great. That was very helpful. Very, very helpful." So, how are you? How was your weekend? Who is here? Tell me in the comments. I'm so excited to connect. Welcome, Amy. So happy that you're here. Welcome. Good evening. Thank you for staying up late to watch. And I hope the meditation is exactly what you need later on tonight. It's not necessarily a long episode, but we do have a lot to talk about since last Monday was the first after a 2-month hiatus. And this week we have this super moon happening on Wednesday that kind of correlates or corresponds to the new moon in Aries that we had on April 8th. And that's the beauty of following the book. That's that I can just flip back to that new moon solar eclipse, even though this week there's no eclipse. Eclipse season is already done. I pretty much stayed away through the whole eclipse season and lived the chaos of all the motions. So the new moon solar eclipse in Aries right here on April 8th of this year. That's what this moon this week kind of correlates and corresponds with. So I'm excited to discuss. Amy says Sadie and I are here. It's getting cold here too. Our low is right above freezing all week, but I think you're way higher up north than me, right? So you let me know, Amy, but welcome. Almost finished. Well, we just got started, so let's get to it, shall we? Welcome to episode 32 of this season, season 3 of Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace. My name is Graciela Moore. I wrote 2025 manifestation agenda slash journal. I can't talk. And I'm a certified coach, and I love the moon and discussing emotional intelligence and how it all plays a part, how it correlates, how it may show up for you. I do love all the astrology and planets, magic type, hope, emotional intelligence. I think I already said that. Self-leadership. Absolutely. And all of the above. Entrepreneurship as well, but I feel like ever since I've decided to really slow down for the sake of my health and my family, the whole hustle and bustle of entrepreneurship is a bit, I'm a bit more detached from it, even though we're still running our businesses and just doing the thing. But let's do this. So we begin the week with the moon in Pisces, and Saturn is still there. Saturn has been there for a while. So the lesson giver and the boundary setter, Saturn, is interestingly in this planet, or in this sign, I should say, that is all about dreams and all about illusions. If Cancer is the shore of the beach, right? Cancer being the crab sign, the water sign that belongs to the moon or corresponds with the moon. If Cancer is the shore of the beach, Pisces is the deep, deep ocean where a lot happens in the darkness, and not necessarily I'm not necessarily talking about it in the context of the obscure, but the deep ocean is dark, right? So there's just a lot that goes on behind the scenes, right? Sometimes a lot happens, not necessarily under the table, but just behind the scenes in general. And we only see the tip of the iceberg, right? But the moon, we're starting the week with the moon in Pisces. So I feel like the day may have sounded or felt a bit hopeful and energetically good in a way, because we just had a very pleasant weekend that we discussed in the previous episode. But the thing about this week, dun dun dun, is that the plot absolutely thickens with this full moon, because there's a lot happening as far as Mars is concerned, because the moon in Aries, right? Aries being the sign that is all about me, what I want, what makes me feel good, what I'm bringing to the table, and when I say me, I mean all of you and everyone in individual, because the opposite of Aries is Libra. Right here is Libra, and the opposite of Aries right here. So they're opposite each other. So Libra is us and the collective and the family, as opposed to me, myself, and I. And where the sun is concerned in this full moon is literally face to face, making that, face to face angle. Ooh, Amy. So we're talking about you this full moon, because Amy is an Aries. And yes, Amy, look at that beautiful moonscape right here. I'm so loving this space right here, because these are all gifts, as well as these. Love you to the moon and to Saturn. Thank you so much, Hannah. So thank you, Amy, for the moonscape right here. So the moon is illuminating all that we are kind of thinking in our life, or currently in our experiences, that pertains to our own journey, which is individual, even when we are in families and collectives and relationships. We are in this individual journey of just navigating whatever comes through, what we're building, what we're creating, and then hopefully figuring out how to converge, or how to commingle, or how to coexist with the people around us and the people that we choose to bring into our life, right? So Hannah, welcome. Yes, you're a moon in Aries, and so this week, right after your birthday, the moon is going to be beautifully full in Aries. So I can't wait to celebrate and have a fire. So the whole about this week is the fact that this moon, let me turn around because I can't really see it. Right here, here's Aries, and Mars is, oh my goodness, not Mars. I just blanked, but the full moon. We're starting the week with the moon in Pisces, leading into this moon in Aries happening. And right after Aries, which is that fire starter, so we're going to talk about how this week is kind of feisty and moody in a way. We're going to have the weekend with the moon in Taurus. So I like a weekend with the moon in Taurus, because it invites us to really rest from that full moon hangover that we will inevitably have, especially in my opinion and in my own experience, because Aries is a fire sign. It's that Kickstarter that likes to start things. And the thing about Mars is that it's right now squaring Jupiter, which is in Gemini, and we talked about it last week. And so where Jupiter in Gemini is bringing into question what you believe, for what you stand for, Mars is going to want to do something about it because Mars is a planet of action, right? And Aries is ruled by Mars. So Aries tends to be a bit, what's the word? It's that impetus, it's that igniter. It tends to really speak faster than the thought comes because the action is to speak, right? But to really settle and to really bring the fire down a notch and to really create a sense of a stable flame, if you will, um, there needs to be a very specific intention so that we don't set the place ablaze, which is apparently what could happen this week in terms of just our experiences or our realizations or our mindset, I guess, when I get short tempered with my own self, with my own mindset, I feel like then what follows for me is a sense of confusion because what was that about and how does it pertain to how I want to move forward, right? So there's just a lot going on. So let's discuss. In our journal, every Monday you're invited to answer the following. What must you do this week? What is the one thing that you cannot make it to Friday without doing? Sometimes it's paying a bill. Sometimes it's making a phone call that you really don't want to make. Sometimes it's just making sure that you do your journaling because you're really committed. That would be me. Sometimes it's, getting cartridges for the printer because you need to print things that are important to your day-to-day life, so on and so forth. So what is the one thing that you must make sure to do this week? Sometimes for me, the one thing that I must make sure to do is to catch up on the astrology and figure out what's the current astrology because I wrote this last year. So to figure out what's happening in the sky this week, to talk about it here, sometimes I have to catch up on that or I have to do this or that as it pertains to research, right? So this week, I need to make sure to add gratitude to next year's journal. So let's do a little segue from the weekly astrology or the moonology to talk about this. I've been wondering what to make sure to change or add to the book so that next year's book is more magical and so that it has something that's different to it. Although this year's second edition, right, the edition number 2, 2024, has some different things from 2023's book, I want the book for 2025 to just give you even a better experience and give us, I should say, because I follow it. I might be the one that follows it, right? But I'm thinking of adding 2 pages facing each other for gratitude for every Sunday. And the reason why I've decided to bring this into the book, which is first an agenda and then a journal. So, right, it's a manifestation agenda / journal because time is of the essence, right? Even though time is an illusion, time is our tool in this magic of creation, right? So, the reason why I want to add gratitude is because there really is no end to a manifestation. If you think about it, there's no end to a transaction. Let's call it what it is. There's no end to a transaction after someone says thank you. That's until someone says thank you. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself in a situation where you say to someone, thank you for this and that, and they reply, no, thank you. And then, no, thank you. No, thank you. And you keep on going because that's really the end, but at the same time, it's another exchange, right? But gratitude has been a huge part of this conversation since we started 2 years ago. As you know, gratitude is something that I have been practicing every night, I would say for about 5 years now, since before Elijah was born. And it's part of how I want to make sure that I go to bed in good spirits and not really torn down by my day or the people in my life, right? Really chipping away at what can I be grateful for after a horrible day really teaches you to see the many blessings and the amount of just abundance that is everywhere and that we sometimes don't recognize or take for granted, right? So, right before Moon Day, every week on the agenda, we're going to have open journaling for gratitude, maybe a gratitude prompting or two every Sunday, probably just one, because this is all very last minute. And I thought about it literally last night or the day before. And so the clock is ticking to release this book. And so I'm excited. Thank you for that. Thank you for listening. Now, on my little handy dandy iPad, I have here astroseek.com. Y'all can check it out for yourselves. This is a website that's available to all. You don't even need to create an account. This is where I do charts, the astrology for next year's, the moonology for everything. There's also numerology here. And so this is what I read from every time that we get together. And we start in the week with the moon in Pisces, goes into Aries and then into Taurus. And the full moon is really everything. But one of the cute things happening this week is that Venus is going to enter Scorpio. So let's talk about, I get itchy just thinking about Scorpio because Scorpio, it tends to be dramatic. It tends to really bring up things that we don't want to kind of tackle because they're not surface level. They're very deep. They're like the depth of our truths that we may not even know up to this point. And then something comes up that you're like, oh, or what was that? Can you spell that? Can I spell what? What do you mean? Can I spell what? Amy. Amy says, can you spell that? What did I say that you want me to spell? I'll give you a second, but I'll keep going about Venus in Scorpio. So Venus stands for all that we desire. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. And the free app that you were talking about, oh, Astroseek. It's not an app, it's a website. So you're going to go to www.astro/seek, SEEK.com. And that's a great resource for anybody really, but I've been using it forever. And I know a lot of astrologers who use it. And then Astroseek, like you're seeking information. You're seeking the stars. Astro/seek, SEEK.com. I hope I said that right. Yeah. So Venus, all that we want, all that we like. That's right. Thank you, Hannah. Tiny slash a hyphen. Thank you, Hannah. Astro-seek.com. So Venus in Scorpio is bringing up or might bring up or might highlight or might question or might tickle the things that are just very dear and close to us, very deep to us, or not, right? Because it changes for everybody. But then we have this full moon. And so aside from the moon day journaling that you're invited to do every moon day, we have this full moon. So let's talk about the questions that pertain to this full moon in Aries, shall we? And actually, this full moon is closing the chapter of the new moon on April 8th. I brought it up earlier. The new moon on April 8th, that was in Aries as well. So let me know in the comments if you want me to read those questions. I have them here. I did have a chance to read my journaling from that moon because I hadn't painted on it. And then I painted on it to just seal the deal. But then I will be working on this week. So, how has the recent pursuit of personal goals brought out your inner courage or assertiveness? So that's like a review of recent events. And see, here's the thing about coaching. And one of the reasons that I love the coaching conversation, which, differs from a friend conversation, and that is that it's not just about asking questions, but it's also about seeking evidence of. It's also about answering those questions with concrete evidence from experiences. And a lot of the coaching conversations that happen in a series of weeks, there tends to be a little homework or just something involved in the in between that needs to get done. My coach gives me homework all the time. In fact, she's waiting for me to tell her into words what I think manifestation is, and I just haven't been able to finish that sentence because where do I even begin? But that's the homework, right? I need to answer that question by Thursday. And so sometimes the questions tend to really be formed in the shape of evidence seeking, because that's the beauty of coaching. It's to train ourselves, or to train the coachee to figure out these techniques and to bring these techniques into life, and then extract the evidence that those techniques either worked or not. And if they didn't, what can be done about it? What will be done about it? Or why? Although I don't like to ask why, and neither does the International Coaching Federation. So these two questions for the full moon this week tend to be a bit of a closure type of context. And the reason why is because they close this chapter of the moon in Aries that started on April 8th with that new moon. And now we're closing it with this full moon. And it's interesting because Aries is a Kickstarter. It's the first sign in the zodiac. And it's that fire starter, right? I keep saying the same thing, but it's because that's what it is. And the full moon is the culmination. So there's a juxtaposition there of opposites. There's this very interesting dilemma, if you will, of how these two opposites are at play at the same time. And not just that, but the sun is in Libra. So obviously the sun is shedding light opposite to the moon, and that's why the moon is full, right? Because they're opposite each other. So there's that opposition there that contradicts everything. Everything that the sun is going to highlight, that brings up me, myself, and I, is going to be in contradiction to what the sun is currently highlighting as the season, because it's Libra season. So I feel like that's why there's a lot of discomfort in the full moons, no matter what the signs are. And why sometimes tension tends to be really high, and emotions tend to be high. And if we don't know how to translate and communicate that, that's a problem. And the thing about Mars being in Cancer is this beautiful dilemma that Chana Nicola brings up in her astrology of the week this week, which is a reminder that Cancer is ruled by the moon and Aries is ruled by Mars. So these two planets that are squaring each other, which we've talked about the square and how it's a negative transit. If you see the square, it just there's positive that comes from it, because I guess every time you get mad, it shows you something, right? But it's just not very pleasant, if you will. And so these planets that are opposite each other, they're not just squaring each other, they're also ruling the opposite, right? So Mars that rules Aries is actually in Cancer that rules that is ruled by the moon, and the moon is in Aries. I hope that makes sense. All of that to say, it sounds like a lot of drama, doesn't it? That felt like a lot of drama to bring up. So let's go to the questions, shall we? How has the recent pursuit of personal goals brought out your inner courage and assertiveness? Reflect on moments that demonstrated your resilience and boldness. Question number 2. In what ways have recent realizations sparked a need for change? What steps can you take to capitalize on this momentum for personal transformation? And capitalize does not mean to make money off. Capitalize means to take advantage, to really build something out of these realizations. Let's not just leave them on a journal and say, oh yeah, I learned this about myself with this moon. Or, I was answering this question on the journal or in conversation, and I realized this about myself. And then, the day changed into a different day, and I went about my life and nothing changed, nothing happened. Let's not do that, right? I mean, I feel like part of the coaching conversation is to see growth and to really not just manifest it, but witness it and then extract the evidence, right? So those are the questions for this full moon. And we have affirmations for the week that pertain to the moon in Pisces. So let's get back to that one. But we also have an affirmation for that full moon. So the affirmation for the week is, I make use of the powers of imagination, harmony, and growth, allowing my dreams and goals to intertwine with the beauty of the world around me. Oh, that's a good one, isn't it? It's because it's Pisces, and Pisces is so dreamy. And it's interesting because I know some Pisces people, and they're not necessarily very dreamy, but they are creative. And so it's just interesting to see how these zodiac signs show up in the people around us. So anyway, the moon is in Pisces today. It's Moon Day. If you're watching this on Moon Day, or if you're part of the replay club, then this Moon Day that we're here on episode 32, the moon is in Pisces, and your affirmation for the week is this: I make use of the powers of imagination, harmony, and growth, allowing my dreams and goals to intertwine with the beauty of the world around me. That just speaks of the sun in Libra and that sweet moon in Pisces. The moon in Pisces is primed for vivid dreaming, so keep your dream journal close to your bed. If you wake up in the middle of the night, then get your book or get a journal and write some notes, whatever comes up. Do not try to make sense of it. Do it with your eyes closed and go back to sleep. And if you're a vivid dreamer like me, I guarantee you will wake up again. And if you're into numerology, you might want to look at the clock when you wake up so that you know what time it is. Write it in your journal. And then the affirmation for this full moon in Aries, and then we will go into our meditation and go into the sweet, gentle night. I acknowledge my strengths and assert my true desires while fostering harmony and understanding within my relationships. I courageously step forward into transformation, balancing my assertiveness with grace. Not me, but so demure and so graceful. Fostering harmonious interactions. Do you see how I build up the affirmations to be all about asserting oneself while keeping relationships and community in mind? Because if you are in a relationship, if you are in a family, if you work with people, if you are in a team, there has to be a level of understanding so that communication can be harmonious. And I know that it doesn't happen 100% of the time, but even if Mars makes you angry and then, Jupiter retrograde in Gemini mixes up your words and then you say something you didn't mean, does not mean that there can be harmony and just better communication. If the intention is there before this mumbo jumbo happens, then the intention should remain through it and afterwards. I'm talking about having the intention to better communicate, yet still having an argument, and how do you, walk from that. In no way trying to give relationship advice. I'm just talking about how we communicate in general, especially if you're neurodivergent and you tend to communicate a bit more like direct and matter of factly. And it's like, I'm not trying to break your feelings, I'm just bringing up the facts. Here they are. Like, I'm not making it up, it's right there, the evidence, right? And so that's also the beauty of journaling, all the evidence. Let's talk about the evidence of the new moon and that solar eclipse that we had on April 8th, which I got my journaling done back then. But today I was very pleasantly surprised to see that I hadn't painted on it yet. So I was able to read it again. Thank you, Spirit. And that incense is burning really long. Okay, so all of this to kind of bring up the previous bookend to this conversation about the me and my assertiveness and how do I assert myself in this or that versus the collective. This new moon in Aries that happened back in April was kind of the introduction to that lunation and the lore of it with Aries. So, how do you feel prompted to address issues related to personal courage, independence, and self-assertion? How do you feel prompted to address? So that means to bring up, to address in conversation, or to, even bring up to yourself in the mirror, because you need to, have a come to Jesus talk with yourself. How do you feel prompted to address issues related to personal courage, independence, and self-assertion in your life? What steps can you take to embrace new beginnings in these areas and foster self-empowerment? Question number 2. What aspects of your life need transformation or closure? Because the full moon is the end of a cycle, but the new moon is also an ending. It ended in the dark moon, and now the new moon is ushering a new cycle. So, what needs closure, and how can you gracefully surrender to the unknown in order to welcome new and beneficial developments? And I feel like April, the mindset where we were at was very frustrating because we had been talking, planning, fantasizing, and dreaming about this move from Florida to the mountains. But by April, a lot of things, it's very easy to dream. It's very easy to say, we're moving, let's do the thing. Absolutely, we're going to be in this place by this time, right? It's very easy to say, but it's not so easy to do and to move and to put together. And so aligning the two, converging the as above, so below is part of the beauty and the magic in the process, right? But it's also very frustrating at times, you know what I'm talking about. And so January, we're all very excited. Yay, let's do this. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, let's go on this adventure. And by April, it's more of a, pedal, what is it? Gas on the pedal, or just foot on the gas. There you go. foot on the gas and a foot on the brake, and going a little bit. And sometimes we would find conversations and realizations and things, just the process. And it does feel like you take one step forward and 5 steps back. And around April, and I'm saying this because I was able to reread it because I didn't paint on it. In April, we were very frustrated. My birthday was coming up, Elijah's birthday was coming up, and at some point I remember that we had discussed having our birthdays in the mountain. So if the birthday is coming up that we had already fantasized about being in the mountains for, and yet here we are still, that can be frustrating, right? And so it was just an interesting time to communicate and to put things into perspective, because sometimes our assertion and that Aries fire wants us to be like, well, what about me? But at the same time, does the context, does the circumstance, does the situation call for highlighting the obvious? What about me, right? I'm obviously involved and in this relationship, and and I'm talking in general, but it's not just about the me, it's about us and how the process affects everyone involved. So very interesting chapter in our lives, I feel like, starting on that new moon in April 8th and now closing this week with this full moon in Aries. So you let me know how that lunation went for you. The affirmation for that moon was, I courageously tackle the barriers that have held me back. I trust in my self-mastery and embrace new beginnings with confidence and enthusiasm. I welcome new adventures and changes, knowing that they lead to my personal growth and self-empowerment. And boy, did I need that affirmation then. I remember reading this with you all and thinking in the moment that I needed to hear that, because it makes me feel hopeful for the circumstance I may be in that I may be impatient about. And of course, let's all put it into perspective and remind ourselves that all of this is first world problems, that there's so much bigger things happening all over. So that was your new moon from back then. So grateful for this conversation. I feel like I said a lot, and I hope that it all made sense. Amy, thank you for being here. Hannah, thank you. Peter, thank you. Cecilia, thank you. And everyone in the Swifty chat. Thank you to my sister and my aunt and everyone. Thank you for your gifts. I love to just put them up and wear them. So cute. That was my sister. That was Amy. And I just love them so much. The shelves. Look at those. So, so grateful. So let's do that meditation and settle down so that we can dive into that sweet night. If you're able, lay down on your back, relax. Music for this meditation is brought to you by Brain FM, I don't know, this app is introducing infinite play, which means there's no timer. I used to put on the sleep mode for just 7, 8, 6 hours, but now it's infinite play, which means it never stops. Probably my headphones will stop, but if I use the ones with the cable, then I get Brain FM all night long, and it is so good. So totally recommend. Check the link in the bio for a 20% off membership and a free trial. So if you're able, relax, and let's do some breath work together. Follow along, follow my lead. Don't be afraid to hold your breath unless you're pregnant. Do not hold your breath if you're pregnant. And settle into your body. Relax your breath. And with me, take a deep breath in through your nose. Deep, deep, deep breath in all the way, all the way. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale through your mouth. Long breath out, nice and slow. We're not in a hurry. Hold your breath again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And inhale right away, nice and slow. Inhale through your nose all the way till you have no room. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale nice and slow through your mouth. And as you exhale, picture yourself in the most peaceful landscape you can envision. Whatever you look at, whatever comes up, it's a deep feeling of stillness and peace and so much love. And right above your face, there's a giant moon. And it is so bright, so mystical, and it can be intimidating, but you feel so at peace. And in this moment, you remember, I make use of the powers of imagination, harmony, and growth, allowing my dreams and goals to intertwine with the beauty of the world around me. I acknowledge my strengths and assert my true desires while fostering harmony and understanding within my relationships. I courageously step forward into transformation, balancing my assertiveness with grace, fostering harmonious interactions. I am so grateful. I am safe. I am guided. I am loved. With me, take a deep breath in through your nose. Deep breath in all the way. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale nice and slow through your mouth. Exhale until you have no air. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And inhale one last time through your nose. Deep, deep, deep breath in. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale one last time. Nice, slow exhale. And as you relax into this exhale, slowly move your feet, wiggle your toes, and come back to me. And that concludes another week. Well, another episode, because the week is just beginning and I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm so excited. So I can't wait to connect so that we can catch up and talk about this week and how it may be mayhem, but hopefully not. The book is still available on Amazon, but hold on to your horses because the next one is coming soon. And I should probably get off of here and go get to doing that. But I'll see you all next week. I love you. Thank you so much, Amy, Hannah, and Peter, Adam, Cecilia, Taryn. I'm so grateful for you all. Mary Ann, Wynn, Virginia, Emma, Cece, everyone in the Swifty chat, my baby sister. I just love you all so much. And I will see you next week. Bye.